and welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna play with a Technique Junkies background stamp called Wash. Let's go! So today I'm going to show you a fun technique with this washed background stamp S945. We're going to make kind of a sort of a shooting star type galaxy type thing. I'm going to start out with a piece of smooth cardstock. This is Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock. And I'm going to start with some Distress Oxide and Squeeze Lemonade. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a circle. I'm going to grab a paper towel and make sure that my little finger brush is clean here. And I'm just going to make a circle. And I'm speeding up here my ink blending because ink blending is ink blending. I'm making a fairly big circle. Then I'm going to come in with the prize ribbon. And I'm going to make a circle around that circle. So I'm just going to outline it. And I'm not worried about the kind of the smudge marks or anything because those are going to get blended in. And I'm not worried about going over my yellow circle. In the end, it doesn't matter, you'll see. So it's gonna look funky to you. You're just gonna have to trust the process here. So I'm just kind of going around in the circle, and then I'm gonna come back in with my Squeeze Lemonade and blend the two together. So I end up with kind of a green halo around the, what would resemble maybe the moon. Up to you. Could be a planet, could be anything. Now you could do this background any way you want, but you do want to make it a night sky type background. And I'm just blending some more of that Squeeze Lemonade in. And there we're done with that. Now I'm going to take my dome foam blender and I'm going to blend out the rest of the background. So now you see why I wanted to make that kind of circle around my little moon area, so that I have a little wiggle room when I'm laying down my ink. And I'm going fairly heavy with the prize ribbon, just making sure that I get the whole thing dark. And again, I'm not worried if it's splotchy, nothing like that, just doing a quick blend job. Now I'm going to take the Wilted Violet and I'm just going to make some purple splotchies here and there. No big deal, just some purple. This couldn't be easier. All right, so I know that looks weird right now, but again, trust the process. And you see I'm a mess from the process already. I've got this stencil from a Colorful Life design. It's called Skyline Skyline, hang on a second. I had it in my mind a minute ago. Skyline Edger, set of 2. And you can pick this up at Technique Junkies as well. And I'm just going to take some of my tape here. And I'm going to tape the stencil down just at the back of my picture here, so that I can create that skyline. And if it's crooked, I'll just straighten it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Super easy. Okay, so this comes with that part, and it comes with a sort of a mask part where you could do the windows and stuff, and I will use the mask, but not for what you think. So I'm grabbing my clear embossing powder, and I'm going to grab my Versafine Clair in Nocturn, and I'm going to fill in the little houses or the city or whatever, and notice I'm going downwards only. I'm not wanting to go back and forth on that, and because there's those skinny little in-between pieces that I don't want to jump up on me. So I'm putting this in pretty heavy. Now when you're doing this pigment ink over the oxide inks, it tends to be a little bit lighter, so notice it sort of looks blue. And it will, especially once we get it embossed. So I'm going to go ahead and lay my embossing powder down, make sure that everything's nice and covered. Now you don't have to do this step, but I like it this way. And so once I've done it, and once I've tapped it off, I'm just checking Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'll go ahead and heat emboss that. And it's just going to really make that little city stand out. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom, right? So once I've got that done, here's the mask portion of that stencil. And notice I have some of it covered with mint tape because I was wanting to cover those windows. And I'm just going to lay it over top of the little city line. And now my paper's moving on me, so I'm going to throw a little tape on there. I don't want a bunch of tape because I don't want to accidentally tear my paper. So, but I'm just going to put a little bit just there and on the other side so I can flip this thing over in peace without losing my place. And it's not crucial, but it kind of adds to the sort of space effect. Now sit still. Push. All right. Hold. Flip it over. Now I can tape along the bottom edge there. And I'm taping that together because I'm going to be putting this in my stamping platform. And I'm going to be stamping over it, but I don't want to stamp my galaxy over my city or onto my city. I guess you could if you wanted to, but that's not what I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to magnet this down kind of and grab that washed stamp. And I'm not even going to use a tool, you know, powder thingy tool. Brains? Words are hard. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Anti-static powder tool. Not going to do it. Doesn't matter. All right, so I'm deciding on my orientation of how I want my kind of, I don't know, meteor shower to aim. And I'm just going to lay that down, and that we're going to use that piece in a minute. Going to lay that down, and then I'm just going to go in with my Versamark ink. I want to also mask that little sun. No, I'm going to leave the sun, I think, or the moon, or the piece of planet, whatever. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to go ahead and let this meteor shower run over it as well. So getting it nice and wet with the Versamark, and then putting some good pressure on it. I would use my pressure tool, but it's drying because I couldn't find any Christmas candy, but I found some Christmas sprinkles, and I decided I was going to do some painting. So right now it's hands only because the paint is drying. Okay, there we go. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to pull it out of the stamping platform carefully. And I don't need my mask anymore. I can leave the tape on there, no big deal. And I'm going to grab my little hot dog thing. And I have here some Halo embossing powder from Wow, inspired by Catherine Pooler. And I'm just going to coat the whole thing with the Halo. This comes out so cool, guys. I did one earlier, but I didn't do a mask, so it kind of went over my city too. And I would have been okay, except for it didn't cover the length. Now I got a couple little goobers on there. I don't know where those came from, but I'm just going to take my little tweezers and pick them off. That little piece wants to be sneaky. Come on. Come on. There we go. And I'll go ahead and pour the rest of my embossing powder back in the bottle and put the lid on because don't want to spill. It's a small bottle. And I'm just going to wipe off any excess. I'm not too worried about much excess. I want the sparkly, so it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my heat tool and go ahead and heat emboss this Halo embossing powder on this washed stamp. And it's just stars and twinkles coming down from the cosmos. You could make it seem like rain, whatever. Just depending on how you treat the stamp. But my main thing was to illustrate that just because a stamp seems like it's one thing, it could definitely be a different. All right, so that's cool. I'm loving that, but I want to take another step further here. See how cool that is? And now you can see why it didn't really matter if the background was splotchy or not. So I'm going to lay my mask back on, and that's why I left my tape. Let me get my stamp out of the way here. Going to lay my mask back on. And then I've got a little piece of paper towel that I'll lay over the moon. But what I have here is I have the, what's this stuff called? Foundry wax. And this is the pewter color, or anyway, it's the silvery looking one. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. And I'm just going to put a little bit down on my work mat. And then I'm going to spray with just a teeny tiny bit of alcohol. And that is 91% alcohol. I'm going to grab my fan brush and soak it in there. And then I'm just going to start flicking. See, there's my little sort of mask I made to cover up my moon thing. You have to work quickly with this stuff when you're flicking it because it dries fast. Adding a little alcohol helps keep it wet a little bit. But you can see that pretty much I can't use it anymore. It won't drip off. It's too viscous. So I am going to add just another little drop to what I already have. So, because I want some thicker drops on there. And I'm going to work quickly and tap it down on. And this stuff's cool when you heat it up. It, you know, turns, looks like metal. So I can pull my mask off. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and heat up that foundry wax. And you'll see it's just going to turn into these silver droplets that go so nicely with this wash stamp to make it look like a meteor shower. And I love meteor showers. I remember as a kid growing up, going to Yosemite every summer with my grandma. We didn't live too far from there. And it was so dark there that, you know, the meteor showers were just outstanding. Not to mention the firefalls, which they outlawed that after a while. But as a kid, they used to throw this like fireball sort of thing off of one of the waterfalls. It was so stinking cool. But to get to witness that, not something you see much anymore. So we've got that part done. That was easy. And this stuff's pretty easy to clean up. I'll probably use some alcohol later, but right now I'm busy. This is the way I craft. I'm going to go ahead and trim this down to 5 1/4 by 4. And we'll be putting it down onto a black card base. I'm just taking a little bit off of each side. There we go. And I am going to take my brush that I was using with my Versafine. Well, that's the little December thing from 2021 that I'm going to be gluing down on here. And I'm not popping it up or anything. I'm just going to glue it straight down. And that's some black paper from my stash. And, I mean, you could do several layers. Technique Junkies, I believe, has a stamp like this. I never got it. I probably have a stamp like this in my stash, but I like the die cut because I can lay it over top of all that stuff. You know, you would have had to stamp this first and somehow masked it off or let them be inside the meteor shower. But I want them riding, I don't know, opposite, out of the city and into the next city, I guess. And I'm just pressing down on this so the glue takes hold because that glittery halo stuff, you know, makes it hard for things to stick to. So there's what that looks like up close. And I'm going to use a die cut also and make a word here. So just making sure everything's good and stuck down. There we go. So I'm going to use the word believe, and I'm going to cut that out of some silver holographic cardstock, and I'll be right back. All right, I've got my word glued down there. Before I glue this down onto the black cardstock, I'm going to edge it, and I'm not adding any more ink to my brush. I'm just using the ink that was already on there, and you can see there's plenty. Just to kind of go around the outside edge. And I don't need to preach about that. You guys know I like to do this, and that's why. I just think it really pulls everything in. I'm just picking up ink from my work pad there. All right, so here we go. Now I'm going to glue that straight down. I'm not going to pop it up or anything. Now inside you could put a piece of white cardstock and put your sentiment if you want. I'm not going to do an inside sentiment right now. I rarely do. I keep these until it's time because I never know who I'm going to send them to. And so I may want something special. I may want to go plain. You just never know. Okay, just making sure this is good and stuck down. I think that looks really cool. It's definitely with the shiny city. You could have probably done the holographic on the city too if you wanted to. I've got these little stars here, and I cut these from a stencil that I made. These little fairy stars, and I'm just going to add 2 of them, and they are also a silver holographic paper. I save everything, and I save these. Yeah, right there. It makes it all believable. Oh my goodness. So, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below about what you think, what you might do with this particular background stamp, because as you can see, and you've seen samples from Technique Junkies of different ways that this background stamp has been used, and I'd love to see what you do. So you can always post in my Not Afraid of Color Facebook group. I keep asking people, come on, post your stuff. I know you people are making out there. I want to see your makes. Don't ever compare yourself to somebody else. So there we go. Isn't that pretty? I think that is just so stinking cool. I love that stamp. I can't wait to use it some more. I think it'll be great for, 4th of July. Imagine making it into fireworks. You could do it. So this is S945 Washed. And don't forget, you can save 10% using my discount code TJ10Color at TechniqueJunkies.com. At the end, I'll show you a still picture. I appreciate all of you. I hope that you have an awesome day. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.